Welcome to Down the Road. We're going to go down the road of violence. If you look at the numbers of what happened over 4th of July weekend, they're going to leave you shaking your head. We're going to go down the road of Governor Noem. What happened? What is happening? How a billionaire from Tennessee can send National Guard members down to the border, all utilized by the people of South Dakota. We're also going to talk about juries. We're going to get a chance to talk about people's willingness to serve on a jury. I was never there. I never wanted to be on a jury. Got called to jury duty, I think twice. Got out of it twice. Doesn't hurt to be a member of the media. I think they're getting a lot more lenient in terms of who you are and whether or not you can serve. So we'll go down that road. But there's a man out there whose work I respect immensely. A journalist in the purest form, Dave Kolpack from the Associated Press. Let's bring him in. Dave, good to have you going down the road with us.
Good to be here, Joel. I found just the opposite experience in my jury duty. I found that both sides kind of wanted a reporter, someone that is supposed to see both sides, so I couldn't get out of it.
Well, I'm a talk show host on both TV, right. and so with my opinions, they just looked at it and said, it's never going to be fair. Plus, when we're together, I'll tell you an absolute great story of how I got out of serving on one jury. And I do not apologize for saying got out of, because I wanted to get out of. Dave, I want to talk to you about a story that you worked, a story that you were way ahead of everyone else on. And that was the fact that Dean Bresciani was in trouble with the North Dakota State Board of Higher Education. You know, how did you know? Obviously, you're not going to divulge any sources, but you were working this story first.
Well, yeah, I heard that he had been contacting some lawmakers and basically stating his case. Of course, when it all comes down to what he said and what really happened, it's all through other sources. Neither the Board of Education has told us why this happened, and so far he hasn't either. He's sent a note to the campus basically saying, thanks for everything. But I had heard previously that, he was trying to get support there. So, some people that say it was a mutual decision, I kind of find a little bit hard to believe.
Well, wasn't there a 6-1 vote to not renew his contract? It seems to me that's an indicator you're not going to be there very long.
Yeah, exactly. And the one vote in his favor was a former NDSU student. She was serving basically her last meeting on the board. She'd graduated, but right, that's an indication. But then again, everything just turned strange because, do you say that you want this person to retire, yet he's getting paid for a year and a half, $371,000 a year. I'm bad at math. I don't know what half of that is, and then offered tenure, which some would say for somebody you want out, that's not a bad package deal, and it's really gets into a war of semantics. Was he fired? Well, can you say that if that's the package that you're offering him? I don't know.
Well, here's one of my concerns about that. NDSU is one of those institutions that a lot of businesses go to, and we'll get into that in just a second in the area of research. But, a lot of people from the ag community come in and they want something and they make a deal and they cost share and those type of things, and much of it's done with a vision or a handshake. How do you do that with a man with a foot and a half out the door? I mean, how do you know that the next administration is going to agree to what you have? And so right. By leaving him in place, I mean, that's the ultimate. 18 months is a long time to be a lame duck.
Right. And, that was kind of part of, and basically as reporters, all we've been able to go by are his performance review, his self-evaluation, and then he wrote a memo after that. And, one of the complaints against him was on the research front, right? And So now you're going to handcuff him even more, right? I mean, what do they know? Like you said, what do they know? They're not going to know what they're going to be dealing with after this. So, yeah, it's odd. And again, all you can do is speculate, but President Bresciani, and, some believe he's got a really good point here, is always said, and this has been in his own evaluation, that the two research schools, NDSU and UND, cannot be treated the same as all the other schools. They, like he said, it's a different scope. They deal with a different marketplace, and it's, if you're going to guess, on what ultimately happened, and it might have been the disagreement over that, because the board is always talking about a unified system, whatever that means. But yeah, you make absolutely, you make a great point.
Well, but they had come around to that. I mean, they had looked at that, the three tiers, the junior college, and then the middle, the examples, NDSCS in Wahpeton, Lake Region, those type of colleges being feeder colleges and credit transfer colleges to NDSU or to Minot State, and Valley City and Mayville being that four-year degree, and then of course NDSU and UND being the big stick in the room, and they always were. How that's looked upon by some members of the board, I think you're right. That was a real concern by Dean Bresciani, but that's one area I thought the legislature did a good job of recognizing. There's another factor to all of this, because, the research department and what's happening there, he didn't stick up for Molly Secor Turner. He might have returned her call, he might have returned her email, but that was not a full-throated support of research as a whole. When the North Dakota legislature singled her out and took a shot at her because of her research, and now she's off to continue that research at Montana State. And so how much of that played in? First question for you, Dave.
I really haven't been able to nail that down on the record, off the record. Yeah, I've heard some complaints about that, but again, from my position, it's so difficult to definitively put my finger on that. But from what I've heard from others, that was a factor.
Well, in fairness, if you don't want people like you and I and others to speculate and have a conversation about, talk. I mean, do some interviews, talk. Don't just write the, we love each other, by the way, they fired me, type of conversation. The president of NDSU, and it's happened before at UND, because they are so powerful, because they get in a position where they feel they're untouchable. Kennedy, now Bresciani, before that Chapman. After X amount of time, they feel that, in my personal opinion, that they're not answerable to the Board of Higher Education because of their relationship with, personal relationship with legislators and the business community. And is this just another example of that?
Well, I think there was definitely that perception there by a lot of lawmakers. And not only was the last review by the chancellor of President Bresciani direct, and as I wrote in my story, harsh at times, but his response was direct as well too. That hey, for instance, with the provost, that incident got him censured by the faculty, and he wrote in his rebuttal to that the only people left weren't qualified, so I picked the person who was, and I made the right decision. So some might say, yes, that's your job, pick the right person, but others are saying, hey, you're a lone wolf here, and yeah, we don't like that.
There's another factor in all of this. If you look at NDSU, you're looking at a place that built tons of housing and invested in tons of housing, and we're seeing less students go to the campus. And after COVID, I think we're going to see even less. I mean, you and I are talking by Zoom right now. This is completely acceptable to people in terms of how information is being delivered to them on a national scale. I've done a number of media interviews where it's Zoom. It used to be you had to be on the East Coast or the West Coast in front of a camera with a satellite before you could do these type of things. In Bresciani's case, in NDSU's case, I'm not sure that young people are going to go to school the same way they have. In other words, they're not going to be filling up the dorms. They're not going to be filling up that apartment structures that NDSU invested in. And the student enrollment before all of this was dropping. How big of a factor do you think that was?
Yeah, and you could say, well, how can someone, blame this on a virus, coronavirus, right? But the governor has been saying this, since he ran for office 4 years ago, that we don't need these buildings anymore, not just dorms, but classrooms and other space, because this is what's going to happen. I think the coronavirus has shown that not only can it happen, but you can do it, and it works in most cases. I still believe that the best way to pass college is to go to class. And sometimes being there is better than being on Zoom. But I've heard that as well, Joel. I'm sure that's part of it.
In the little bit of time I have left, Dave, there also were some concerns and some people ticked off because of Bresciani's meeting with Black Lives Matter. We know that from some of the big donors and how that meeting was dealt with. There's another concern that people had, which NDSU and Bresciani had put a full investment in on that Bison football team. That's what rode him to a lot of popularity with the business community. And when the Bison football team, after the Floyd murder, took a knee before that game, that really was a major concern by people that hold season tickets and are in the business community. How big of a factor do you think that was?
Well, do you blame that on the president, though? The fact they took a knee? I don't know.
I guess, Dave, I don't blame that on the president. I think the president, Bresciani, was doing what he was he not necessarily wanted to do, but basically had to do. A lot of those football players would have walked out the door, that, or at least sat out a game or two. And so I don't think that some of these business leaders that are ticked off about it understood the box that he was in. I don't.
Right. And you're getting into such a political thing here, and I know it's been speculated by many that politics played such a huge part in all this. I mean, there was the case with Planned Parenthood. The Black Lives Matter issue and Planned Parenthood, that wasn't mentioned anywhere in the review. Nobody's said anything that was a factor on the record. But we're a pretty conservative state, and those two things, obviously make a difference with a lot of people.
Well, great work. A family of journalists, an individual that has always taken pride in making sure he gets the facts straight, and hopefully President Bresciani or the Nick Hacker, the chairman of the state board, will speak to this more, because if his severance is $371,000 plus half again, then by God, they do owe us and deserve a response to all of that. So thank you, Dave.
Right.
Thanks for coming on.
I apologize. I couldn't give you more facts. I mean, but that's, state government's been like that overall. I mean, the Attorney General, try getting a hold of him some days. Anyway,
yeah, that's an hour-long conversation we can have. I appreciate you coming on, Dave. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel.
When we come back, we're going to head to Sioux Falls. We're going to get an opportunity to talk about Governor Noem using National Guard troops from South Dakota for what I believe is a political statement, or at least how she did it. Stick around. More coming as we head down the road.
Howdy folks, it's a Line Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Bossin' breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar, sink your teeth into our famous Line burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon rattling pie with a calm roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line. Hi, it's me, Anthony Sullivan. And yes, you've actually caught me at home relaxing because life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with American Residential Warranty.
You won't believe what ARW covers. Heating and air conditioning, washers and dryers, kitchen appliances, plumbing, water heaters, electrical systems, flat screens and laptops, even pools and spas, and so much more.
Call American Residential Warranty. They'll get you covered.
1-800-219-1467.
Hi, Hunter Ellis here for Night Hero Binoculars by Atomic Beam. These binoculars let you see anything, even in pitch black darkness. Gotcha.
The secrets are powerful wide-angle atomic beam laser that reveals objects up to 150 yards away, hidden by darkness.
During the day, Night Hero gives you 10 times magnification. And when the sun goes down, press the Night Bright button to see clearly in the dark. Light up garbage-eating critters or spot thieves before they even get close. Call or click now and get Night Hero binoculars for just $39.99. Order right now and you can double it. Plus, get our best-selling Atomic Beam flashlight. Just pay a separate fee. We'll even ship them to you free. This TV special offer is not available on Amazon. You can get it all, but you have to order now.
Call 1-800-619-1091. That's 1-800-619-1091. Or visit bynighthero.com. That's bynighthero.com. Order now.
Attention! Have you or a loved one suffered from maculopathy, a serious retinal injury, after taking the prescription drug Elmiron for interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome? In 2018, a researcher at the Emory School of Medicine linked Elmiron, a prescription drug that treats interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome, to maculopathy, which is sight-threatening and can cause an abrupt change of vision. Call Elmiron Justice for a free legal consultation.
Please call 800-395-5680.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. This drug remains approved by the FDA. If you or a loved one regularly took Zantac and were later diagnosed with cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Potential cancers include bladder cancer, colon cancer, kidney cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. Do not stop taking a prescribed medication without first consulting with your doctor. Discontinuing a prescribed medication without your doctor's advice can result in injury or death.
Call 1-800-230-9210.
She's already governor of South Dakota, but when she wakes up in the morning and she brushes her teeth and looks in the mirror, she sees the President of the United States. Or she sees the Vice President, but I know that that's the goal. It doesn't take Dick Tracy to figure that one out. Kristi Noem, the governor of South Dakota, has made many steps to become that popular nationwide in the Republican Party. This is a woman that sent a replica of Mount Rushmore with Donald Trump's picture or likeness on it to Donald Trump. So you tell me who she's trying to impress there. What the governor of South Dakota did was she's sending National Guard troops from South Dakota down to the border. Now, other states are doing that. I recognize that. But she's doing it based upon a billionaire in Tennessee asking her to do it and funding her to do it. And there's a real issue nationwide from Republicans and Democrats alike that they've got heartburn over. State Senator Reynold Nesiba is a man who's been on this show before, and he's good enough to come on and have these conversations. Senator, thanks for coming on again.
Joel, it's always an honor to be back here with you. And I did see that your governor is going to send some troops to the border as well, but your troops are going to be under a federal order to do that and be paid for by the federal government. Right, exactly. And to me, that's the big difference here, along with some other issues in terms of, okay, you know, what's going on with those employers and some of those questions. But the sheer ethics, the legal side of this, are you comfortable with what Governor Noem is doing? No, and I've been really public in my opposition to that. My caucus has asked for her to return this donation and to cancel this deployment. And the problem really is that, you know, this Tennessee billionaire, Willis Johnson, he talks about it as though it was all his idea, that it was his idea to reach out to Governor Noem, to offer the donation and to ask her to deploy our troops. And that's problematic. Right? Our governor has the right to deploy our troops, but she shouldn't be doing the bidding of some out-of-state billionaire.
Well, let's talk about that. Because if you allow that, if you have a governor willing to do that, where are they going to stop doing that? If the next billionaire wants her to put troops on the border of Alaska to make sure nobody else can fish there but him, what's to stop him? If Governor Noem wants the money, I mean, you can use example after example of that, but doesn't that make these troops mercenaries? Doesn't that make these troops something that they're not?
It sure gives it that appearance. And that's why, in our military, in our Guard, we do not allow our Guardsmen to accept donations that influence their behavior. We do that to make sure that that there is a clear chain of command and that the people are listening to the people they're supposed to listen to. And it just seems hypocritical if we don't apply that same rule to the person at the top of that chain of command. The commander-in-chief should also not be accepting donations that influence the deployment of our troops.
Well, there's two pluses here, as I see it, for Governor Noem. Number one, it endears her to that far right, the ultra-conservative movement that think the whole world is going to heck in a handbasket because of our southern border. It also endears her to people with money. People with money like Willis Johnson. People with money that say, you know what, I can influence her with some bucks. And so is there a recognition in South Dakota of that? And by that, what I'm getting at is, are there individuals willing to challenge her beyond your caucus, beyond that Democratic side?
I hope so, but I have been disappointed that more of my colleagues haven't spoken up. I mean, in so many ways, this is a conservative issue. It's about who can make these decisions about the use of our troops. And it's also, I'm an economist. I teach economics at Augustana University. Summer school just started for macroeconomics yesterday for me. And one of the ideas we talk about is opportunity cost. It isn't just the dollars that you spend, but it's what do you give up to get something else? So right now, there's going to be 50 families in South Dakota that are losing a mom or a dad, husband or wife. They're going to go be deployed for a month or 2 months. And you have to ask the question, what are these people doing? These are people that are working as carpenters, they're electricians, they're plumbers, they're law enforcement, they're healthcare professionals. They're people we need right here in South Dakota right now. This is a really busy construction season for us. We have low unemployment. There's real workforce challenges. And these employees that we need in South Dakota are being sent to the border. And I keep asking for a description of what their order is going to be, and I don't even know what that is. So it's not clear to me what their mission, what they're supposed to accomplish, other than this being, a political hit or a political check mark for the governor.
People find a lot of reasons not to hire, and reasons that they don't make public. And not too many employers are going to sit there and say, well, I didn't hire him or her because they serve in the National Guard. They're not going to say that. But when they see that on a resume and they know that they can get called up any second for a political purpose by the governor of South Dakota, for example, do you, or what does your gut tell you will happen? Will that employer be less likely to hire?
I've already had one employer call me directly this week to say he's never going to hire another guardsman. He is in a field where it's important to hire people that are competent. He likes we have really high quality Guards members. Our Army and Air Guard are among the most decorated in the country, and we're proud of the work and service that they do for our state and for our nation. But what this employer said was, this Guardsman has already been out for 2 weeks of training. They were looking forward to him coming back to work, but is now is going to be deployed. Other people are going to have to be working overtime to cover that shift. And it's just problematic. And so he said, I'm not going to hire any more guardsmen for this reason, because he wants to support his state and nation, but he doesn't want to support or be at the political whim of some out-of-state oligarch, billionaire.
You might not be hearing from the opposite side of the aisle in South Dakota, but you are hearing from Republicans nationwide who see this as an ethical issue and who see this as a legal issue to be taking those funds. Asa Hutchinson, governor of Arkansas, was on national media. He was on the Sunday talk shows, and he said he has a real problem with this. Can that be used as an example and as a tool to potentially bring a lawsuit forward and point out that she legally can't do this?
Well, there's sort of two issues here. One is I've already been in conversation with my Legislative Research Council, and I've asked its staff to draft a bill that would close this loophole during our upcoming session. And there are multiple conversations going on with legal counsel about the degree to which this was legal and on what grounds it could be challenged. So I think there's so many questions raised about this deployment and the acceptance of this donation that, again, I simply asked our governor to return this donation and to cancel this deployment.
You know, by having the courage to say this, it's as though in any way, shape, or form, you're against the National Guard, when it's just the opposite. I think that opposing them being used this way is a serious means of supporting the National Guard.
Absolutely. Again, we are proud in South Dakota of our South Dakota Air and Army National Guard. They're among the most decorated units in the country. They are routinely rated in the top few. And what I worry about is that this political act is going to undermine the quality of the Guards members that we attract, that we're able to retain, and the employers that they work for. And so I worry about this harming our National Guard. And again, this is a time when we have a drought here in South Dakota. It's possible that we're going to need Guardsmen to just deal with fire season, that they might have other responsibilities they need to do here in addition to the other jobs that they're not able to do because they're on this deployment. There's just so many issues and problems created by this deployment and its influence. I mean, were there any other promises that were made by Mr. Johnson in Tennessee, or did he promise to contribute to the governor's federal PAC or to her gubernatorial campaign?
Yeah. Well, that's a big issue, and it's an issue that needs to be answered. Senator Nesiba, thank you. Thanks for the time, and thanks for having the courage to challenge and to push back on this.
Well, I will stand up for our South Dakota Air and Army Guard every single day. So I'm honored to do that, and honored to serve as a senator and to represent the people of District 15, which is North Sioux Falls, and happy to do that. And again, thank you for reaching out and asking the questions today, Joel. Thank you.
You bet. When we come back, Jason Bloom. Now, he's a jury consultant. More people are willing to serve on juries. I never thought we'd get there. We'll talk about it, right here when we come back down the road.
Hey everybody, I'm Doug Billings, your host of The Right Side with Doug Billings on Beck News. We bring you high-profile guests, ladies and gentlemen, exclusive guests. Now, you're not going to see these guests in most of the mainstream media outlets. Another thing that I do here is give guests a platform to speak freely. You're not going to see me censor anybody. Please join us, won't you? Weeknights right here on Beck TV and online at beck.news. Cheers.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream sheets. When you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Introducing the Cool Turtle, the ultra-comfortable mask enhancer that creates a protective, cool, and breathable space between your mask and your face. Simply slide under any mask or gaiter and immediately feel the refreshing pocket of air surrounding your face. Cool Turtle's ergonomically designed, soft, comfortable shell immediately reduces mask friction, allowing you to breathe and talk in a comfortable environment.
I can actually breathe. With the Cool Turtle, no more sweating.
It's like I don't even have a mask on.
Call now and get not one, not two, but 3 Cool Turtles for just $10. Order now and we'll send you 2 more Cool Turtles free. No fees, absolutely free. Plus, you can get a 10-pack of 4-ply face masks. Just pay a separate fee. This offer is not available on Amazon. Get the real Cool Turtle now.
Call 1-800-270-1219. That's 1-800-270-1219. Or visit getcoolturtle.com. Order now.
Calling all farmers. Join us Friday, July 16th for Farmers Night at the Bismarck Bucks. The Bucks take on the Frisco Fighters with a 6:05 p.m. kickoff, and we'll highlight our friends at Farm Rescue as we help raise money to support our farmers around the region. For more information on tickets, please visit BismarckBucks.com. Get your free general admission tickets today.
Hey Bucks fans, if you're planning an outing, birthday, or employee appreciation night, then bring your group out to the Buck Stop for a night of fast-paced, high-scoring football. Your group will receive discounted tickets, options for reserved seating, scoreboard messages, VIP services, swag, and a space to gather during the game. You can also participate in pre-game ceremonies, halftime entertainment, in-game contests, and more. Call 701-595-0771 or visit BismarckBucks.com/tickets. All GA is first come, first serve. We'll see you on the turf. Go Bucks!
He's a jury consultant. That's what he is. He'll explain what that is in just a second. I think you probably already have an idea. But he's with Bloom Strategic Consulting, which means he's one of those individuals that you call when you're in a trial. Let's bring him in. Jason Bloom, good to have you coming down the road with us.
Hey, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Let's start there. Let's start with you explaining what a jury consultant does.
Well, basically, a jury consultant is someone who helps lawyers and clients, whether they're individuals or companies, figure out their chances of winning a jury trial and how best to win a jury trial. My background is in forensic psychology. I'm not a lawyer, and I don't practice psychotherapy, but instead my expertise is in jury decision making. So I often get a call that says, we've got a trial coming up. Help us out. Tell us if we can win and tell us how to win. And I do focus group research to determine that. And at the same time, I'm also there at the time of the trial for the jury selection process to help my client figure out who's going to be a good juror, who's going to be a dangerous juror, who's going to be a risky juror.
Are there tells on something like that? Verbal? Are they physical? I mean, I'm curious. You know, when I was requested to go on jury duty, I didn't want to. I mean, I didn't want to. Most of the time, I live in a very rural, small county. And so most of the time, you know the people involved. You can't avoid that. And so I didn't want to be on that jury. And I'm wondering, and always wondering, I wasn't in the media then, or at least one of these times. I'm always wondering if or why I got kicked out. I just was happy I got kicked out.
Yeah, usually, as you may know, it's a process of jury deselection. So the lawyers for both sides, whether it's a civil case or a criminal case, you don't actually get to choose or select your jury, although it's called jury selection. Instead, you get to remove people for various reasons. Who knows why they removed you, though? The way I view it is people and jurors are like icebergs. What you see above the water in the iceberg is the age, the ethnicity, and obviously the gender as well. But what's below the water and is a larger part of the iceberg, and frankly, what sunk the Titanic, are worldviews, predispositions, life experiences, memories, and social pressures. And those are much more predictive of verdict orientation at the beginning of a jury trial than someone's age, someone's ethnicity, or even someone's gender. So I like to take an exploration down into the bottom of the iceberg to figure out how these prospective jurors see the world, and thus I can predict how they're going to view the evidence and the testimony.
So the history of individuals that potentially could serve on juries, 1 in 4 wanted out of that room. 1 in 4 did not want to be part of any jury. Now that number is shrunk to around 5 to 10%. Why?
A couple reasons why people are more inclined to serve on juries, and I'm seeing that too. I used to keep track of it before the pandemic and during the pandemic, and now that we're kind of coming out of it, and people are more inclined because we've got two things going on really. One is it's a spillover from all the inertia that occurred last summer and into the fall, where we were all persuaded to go vote, right? And so, hey, let's get out there and let's participate in society. Let's participate in government. I think that's a spillover with jury service. The other thing is, I think what we just saw over the last 15 months was a lot of people analyzing not just their government, but their community, their society, the world around them. And it created a lot of frustration. A lot of people were frustrated at various things, especially with the government and especially with businesses too. And, you know, if you want to change things in your world on a macro level, there's really only two things you can do. One is you can vote. And the other thing you can do, which is, you know, once a year or once every 4 years, if it's just the presidential election, the other thing you can do is serve on a jury. So we're seeing a lot more people who want to participate in society, who want to right wrongs or ensure that people don't abuse the system. And that's why they're more inclined to sit on juries. We're also, lastly, I'll say, we're also seeing shorter trials. So the prospect of having to sit as a juror for 6 weeks is totally different than the prospect of only having to do it for 4 or 5 days.
How big of a factor was the George Floyd trial? How big of a factor did that have in terms of people saying, you bet, I'll dive in that third end of the pool and I'll serve?
Yeah, candidly, no pun intended, but the jury's still out on that because that's been such a recent trial. But, you know, anyone who wants to do something about their community, do something about society, you can only vote or serve on a jury. That's really it. And I'm glad to see more participation. I think it's great for the entire system as well. And, you know, the thing about juries is they totally get it right. They absolutely get it right. However, they get it right based on their perception of the facts, not the facts alone. And so lawyers and witnesses become perception managers. You're trying to create favorable perceptions and trying to hedge against unfavorable misperceptions. So a lot of times when a lawyer will lose, or you might read something in the newspaper about a verdict, you know, jury awards individual $60 million or, you know, finds the individual not guilty, and you might scratch your head and say, you know, what the heck just happened there? I've spent the last 25 years of my life studying that day in and day out. And I think that a lot of times people lose jury trials because the jury has misperceived something.
You should be in Vegas. That's where you should be. I mean, you can read people that well. I want to ask you this. When you talk about, you know, what might motivate an individual to serve on a jury, you know, election, or, you know, whether or not you serve on jury, you made that perfectly clear. And the minute you said it, it made complete sense to me. Do they? I mean, to be in that room with 12 other jurors, do they have that power that they think they have to make a difference?
You know, it's up to the individual if they want to participate, you know, so it's a verdict by committee, you know. So when you're studying the jurors, not only are you looking at them, but you've also got to take into consideration, how is this person going to participate in a group event, you know, because it is verdict by committee. It's not individual verdicts that just add up and then are averaged or something like that. And what's really, really interesting is when you put 12 people in a room, because when I do focus groups and mock jury studies, I have my mock jurors deliberate. You know, I break my big group up into small groups and have them deliberate. And what you see is you got about, in a room of 8 to 12 people, you got about 3 or 4 that are participating in the conversation. I mean, I see this almost every day. And then you got others that are just kind of hanging out and who just want to kind of go along to get along. In our world, we call those social loafers. You can use that term on your show if you want. Those are people who are just kind of hanging out, not really doing anything. So the key then in the jury selection is not only to figure out, is this guy going to be good, favorable, unfavorable, dangerous, but is this particular individual, he, she, or it, going to participate in the group discussion? And if they do, what sort of contribution are they going to make? Are they going to bring in expertise from the outside world, their own life experiences, and apply it to this? You know, are they going to dominate the discussion? You know, are they going to be open to changing their opinions, or are they just going to sit there and kind of socially loaf?
So it begs this question. You talked about focus groups. You talked about being able to find out what they think before a trial. You talked about being in that room as they're picking the jury, being in that room as the trial itself is going on, so you can get a read that way. Do you ever go to jurors afterwards? Do you ever get them to go in a room and basically be maybe a 1-2 person focus group so that they then can say what their thought process was?
Yeah, I'd often do that, call them post-trial interviews, and I'll either do them in person or over on the telephone or Zoom, just whatever modality is most convenient. You really, really learn a lot. And you also learn that it tracks the things that your focus group participants are saying as well. But the most fascinating thing that I've found is you can take 6 weeks of trial testimony and evidence, or 6 days of trial testimony and evidence, and you can sort of summarize the rationale for any jury verdict, whether it's a criminal case or a civil case, whether they award $500 million or they award $0 to the plaintiff. And you could summarize it all on a 3x5 index card.
Yeah.
I voted for the plaintiff because it would fit on a 3x5 index card. I voted for the prosecutor because, or I voted for the defendant because, will all fit on a 3x5 index card. It's that simple and it's that complex.
Well, in my particular case, when I was the first name drawn out of the hat, along with 17 others, and so they were going to throw out 6, one of the individuals that was drawn out and was questioned as well was my cousin, with the same last name, who lived, in a short drive from me, and he worked with the defendant. So, as I pointed out to the attorney and to the judge, I talked to him every day. And so I got out of it. So, Jason, good to visit with you. Thanks for giving us your expertise.
Hey, thank you. I enjoyed it.
Jason Bloom with Bloom Strategic Consulting. When we come back, let's talk a little bit about the severance package with Dean Bresciani and guns and violence and what's happening in society today. So stick around. We'll continue our trip down the road.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable. My Giza sheets also include full 21-inch wide pillowcases that will fit over any pillow, and deep pocket sheets that will fit over any mattress. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of colors. Use your promo code, and for a limited time, when you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. This drug remains approved by the FDA. If you or a loved one regularly took Zantac and were later diagnosed with cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Potential cancers include bladder cancer, colon cancer, kidney cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. Do not stop taking a prescribed medication without first consulting with your doctor. Discontinuing a prescribed medication without your doctor's advice can result in injury or death.
Call 1-800-230-9210.
Seniors, are you aware that you could pay less for your car insurance?
Seniors can save money on their car insurance.
You might save a little, you might save a lot.
Maybe hundreds of dollars a year.
You might save 5% a year, maybe 10%, 15%, or even more.
That's a lot of money.
So call right now and find out just how much money you might be able to save.
1-800-699-0761. 1-800-699-0761.
Hi, it's me, Anthony Sullivan. And yes, you've actually caught me at home relaxing, because life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with American Residential Warranty.
You won't believe what ARW covers. Heating and air conditioning, washers and dryers, kitchen appliances, plumbing, water heaters, electrical systems, flat screens and laptops, even pools and spas, and so much more. Call American Residential Warranty. They'll get you covered.
1-800-219-1467.
Go for Launch 2018 series winner. Without further ado, it is my honors. Reginae. The winning team
So the question that I have for you now is, how much are you getting paid today? At the end of the day, how much will you have earned? For some of you farmers out there, you're saying, well, the soybean market went up or it went down. Luckily today, when I looked at it, it went up, but yesterday wasn't a good day. So I'm not really talking to you. I'm talking to an individual that draws a salary. How much are you going to make today? Well, I can tell you this. Many of you are not going to make what Dean Bresciani is going to make. He's going to make, by the end of the year, $371,380.38. Not a bad gig, if you can get it, right? That's a pretty good gig. That's a lot of bling. Now, he got, that's for 1 year. Now, you've got to add on another half a year. So it's going to be a little bit under $200K for the next year. All for being a has-been. All for being a lame duck. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's the truth. He doesn't get to make the big decisions anymore because the Board of Higher Education doesn't trust him enough to do it. That's why they voted on a 6-1 vote to not renew his contract. Now, there's a lot of reasons that you can look at and say, all right, why? Why did that happen? The one thing I will tell you is that many of the individuals that serve on the State Board of Higher Education don't get up in the morning and take a deep breath and say Bison football. With individuals who do get up in the morning, take a deep breath and say Bison football, Thundering Herd, those individuals, Dean Bresciani was a hero too, right? Good run, good years while he was there. A man that loved to speak to those Bison crowds, loved to have his independent booth where he could bring the big shots in and just wave to the crowd. Well, in the end, those members of the Board of Higher Education care about other things, or at least other things as well. They care about research. They care about how the universities are perceived and known to be when it comes to research. Nationally, a lot of money comes in because of research. Dean Bresciani, a president of NDSU, did not give a full-throated, and that's important that you remember that, support of Molly Secord Turner when she was trying to find a way to reduce teenage pregnancies. When the North Dakota legislature, when Jana Myrdal and Kathy Skra and Jason Heitkamp, yeah, very distant relative, and Sebastian Ertelt, all were after her, all wanted to basically let her know that her research isn't acceptable, even though it brought millions of dollars into the state and was working to do the very thing that they wanted, and that's have less abortions. When they went after her for even having the discussion, Dean Bresciani should have stood up and used whatever popularity he had to support her. And he didn't. He didn't publicly come out and work the circuit, work the talk shows, work the TV stations, work the print media, and basically say what needed to be said, which is these legislators are doing the wrong thing by interfering themselves and injecting themselves into research on these campuses. Molly Secord Turner left. She's going to continue that research at Minot State, or not Minot State, at Montana State. So keep that in mind. It's an embarrassment, and the higher ed board knew that. I also want to get a chance to talk to you about violence and gun violence. Let me give you some numbers. At least 223 people were killed. 618 people were injured by gun violence in more than 500 shootings. Now, as I read those numbers, you're probably thinking, well, that's over the course of the year, and we've got a problem. Nope. That's over the 4th of July weekend. Do I need to repeat those? Because I can. 33 people were killed. We got a problem. I don't know what it is. As a gun owner, I don't believe it's the guns. I believe it's illegal guns. I think that people have too easy of access to illegal guns, that our system doesn't do what it needs to do to stop them from getting illegal guns. But I don't believe it's your guns. I don't believe it's my guns. I believe it's the person behind the gun. Now, the person behind the gun is clearly angry, clearly depressed, or clearly vicious. How do we solve that? How do we as a nation solve that? Because other nations have. I mean, when they look at these numbers, they're astounded. They're shocked. They look at these and it just empowers them to do what they're doing. So what are we doing? What are we doing to stop all this? And do not pin it down as some inner city gang ethnicity issue. That's not the case. That is not the case. Look at a number of these mass shootings that took place. We had a man in North Dakota that was shot when the killer in Vegas was just going around randomly shooting at individuals from that hotel. That killer was white. Now go back to a number of those school shootings. Depressed? Picked on? I don't know. I know this. Those individuals didn't care if they themselves lived. So to sit there and make the argument that, all right, what we do is put them in jail, lock them up, throw away the key, and we've got this solved. How does that solve it? How does that solve it? If the individual you lock up could care less if they live. When we come back, some closing comments for you. Actually, what we're going to do is just make sure you get a chance to hear at least one former legislator in talk shows Peace of Mind. So stick around.
Do you worry about going to the dentist? After all, a visit to the dentist can easily cost $2,000 or more. Well, relax. The Carefree Dental Card is now available in your area. Call now and we'll send your actual card at no cost today. With the Carefree Dental Card, you go to the dentist whenever you need and you instantly pay a lot less. Activate your card and you can start using it immediately. From exams and cleanings to more expensive procedures like crowns, dentures, even braces, they're all included with the Carefree Dental Card. Say you go to the dentist today without any card and your bill is, well, ouch. Wait a minute, let's try that again. You go to the dentist today and show your Carefree Dental Card, you save $525. The Carefree Dental Card is just $15.95 a month, so call now and make going to the dentist carefree.
Call 1-800-416-5739 to receive your Carefree Dental Card information kit. 1-800-416-5739. Call now.
I can't say enough good things about these nano hearing aids.
Real people talking about nano hearing aids.
The hearing quality is great.
Until now, hearing aids used to be too expensive for the average person. Until nano. Call now and you'll get your nano hearing aids for only $297. You'll save $100. When you buy one hearing aid, Nano will give you a second hearing aid free. Call right now.
1-800-213-3815.
Spas, etc.
You've come to know and trust us for over 18 years with the largest selection and showroom in Western North Dakota for our beautiful Sundance spas. Plus, you could pick out your next home experience with our selection of pool tables, shuffleboards, and fun accessories.
Spas, etc. Your relaxation destination on Main and Bismarck.
Who do you trust with your digital life? Not all cloud backup providers keep your data truly private. Beck Cloud Backup uses advanced multi-layer encryption to keep your family photos, videos, and sensitive business documents secure and only for your eyes. Your Beck Lightband Internet service already includes 50 gigs of free storage to keep your digital life safe and secure. Call us at 701-475-2361 to start using your Beck Cloud Backup today.
Attention! Have you or a loved one suffered from maculopathy, a serious retinal injury, after taking the prescription drug Almiron for interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome? In 2018, a researcher at the Emory School of Medicine linked Almiron, a prescription drug that treats interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome, to maculopathy, which is sight-threatening and can cause an abrupt change of vision. Call Almiron Justice for a free legal consultation.
Please call 800-395-5680.
Obama, Trump, Biden. There isn't one of those administrations that our southern border was a tough issue for, right? If you look at Obama, he was the president that shipped more individuals back to their own countries than any one of those three presidents. When you look at Trump, I would argue that he made them out to be demons. He talked about terrorists. He talked about drug lords. He talked about all that when many of these families were just looking for a better life because of what was happening in their country. But he took a hard stance. Now you look at Joe Biden. Well, Joe Biden, this is a policy, or this is a reaction from the Biden administration that isn't going very well for them. He put Kamala Harris in charge of it, the vice president. I don't think she's done a good job. I think she needs to get down to that border. I think she needs to work at it more, and she needs to come to some level of solution. But I look at this not at just a problem. I look at it as a potential opportunity, and the policy that we have when it comes to immigration or work visas. Tell me how many places you've gone to that have a help needed sign or now hiring sign. Tell me how many places you've seen that at. In your mind already, you've kicked in and said a whole bunch, a lot of them. Can't find the workers. We can't find the workers that will do the jobs that we need them to do. Could some of these individuals get a work visa easier? Should they? Could they? Would it help our economy? Is there a way to make sure it works the right way? Are we obsolete in regards to what we're doing and antiquated in terms of what we're doing when it comes to immigration? Or are we just a country that when we look at certain individuals, we see someone we don't want to live next to? It's a fair question. It really is, because you and I both know there's a lot of jobs out there that are waiting to be filled. Good going down the road with you, folks.